Hello my viewers, welcome once again to my channel Israeli Math Concept. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to apply the laws of indices in solving a given problem. But before I go into detail in solving these two problems on the board, I want to remind you of these laws of indices and to refresh your mind in respect to these laws of indices. Remember, the first law of indices states that whenever we have the same base raised to a given power, then bring out one of the base and then add their powers because we have multiplication here. And the second one, whenever we have the same base, x here and x here, they are the basis of this given equation. So whenever we have the same base and we have division sign, we bring out one of the base, and because of this division sign, we subtract the powers. That's why we have a minus b. And the third law of indices says that whenever we have a given base raised to the power of 0, it is equal to 1. And the fourth law of indices says that whenever we have a given number or base raised to the inverse of a given number, it is the same thing as saying 1 over that given base raised to the power of that number, a. Then the fifth law of indices states that whenever we have a given base raised to a given power, or raised to another power, it is equal to bringing out the base and multiplying together their powers respectively. Then the sixth law of indices says that whenever we have a given base raised to its inverse of a given number, it is equal to the 8th root of this given base. The 8th root of this given base. Then the seventh law of indices states that whenever we have a given base raised to the power of a given number all over another given number, that is the quotient of two given numbers, it is equal to the 8th root of this given base, x, all raised to the power of the numerator of this raised power, b. Alright, let's solve through this given problem. The first example says, simplify 27 raised to the power of 1 over 3, all raised to the power of 2. Let's begin with the first solution. Remember the question, it states that 27 raised to the power of 1 over 3, all raised to the power of 2. The first thing we are going to do is to trace our roots to these given laws of indices to know the very law that applies to solving this given question. And looking, you can see that law number 6 is related to this given question. Hence, we apply the law number 6. And what does the law number 6 state? That any given base raised to the power of a given inverse of a given number, it is equal to the 8th root of that given base. Hence, we have 27 raised to the power of 1 over 3, all raised to the power of 2. What do? We still apply the law number 6. Hence, this is equal to the cube root of 27, all raised to the power of this given 2. And remember, the cube root of 27 is 3. Because 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. That means 3 into 3 should give us 27. Hence, the cube root of 27 is 3. All raised to the power of these 2. Such that 3 raised to the power of 2 is the same thing as 3 multiplied by 3. And 3 multiplied by 3 is 9. Hence, the answer for this given question is 9. Let's go into the second question. The second question says 36 raised to the power of 1 over 2 multiplied by 64 raised to the power of negative 1 over 2 multiplied by 5 raised to the power of 0. Before we go into solving this given question, the first thing we are going to do is to trace this given question to the laws of indices so as to know the laws we are going to apply in solving this given question. Let's start with 36 raised to the power of 1 over 2. Remember, law number 6 is applicable to 36 raised to the power of 1 over 2. Hence, what do we do here? We say the square root of 36. That is law number 2. That any given base raised to the power of 1 over a is equal to the 8th root of that given base. Hence, 36 raised to the power of 1 over 2 is the square root of this given base, 36. Then multiplied by, we have 64 raised to the power of negative 1 over 2. And let's check the law of indices that applies to 64 raised to the power of 1 over 2. And ideally, that is law number 4. And law number 4 states that whenever we have a given base raised to the power of negative number, it is equal to the inverse of that given base raised to the power of that given number. Hence, 64 raised to the power of negative 1 over 2 is the same thing as saying the inverse of 64 raised to the power of 1 over 2. Then multiplied by 5 raised to the power of 0 is 1, because it is applicable to law number 3, which says that any number raised to the power of 0 is equal to 1. Hence, we have that square root of 36 is 6 multiplied by 1 over, remember 64 raised to the power of 1 over 2 is the same thing as saying the square root of 64. We are trying to apply law number 6, which states that a given base raised to the power of 1 over a given number is the 8th root of that given base. And that is what I did here exactly. That 64 raised to the power of 1 over 2 is the same thing as saying the square root of 64, then multiplied by 1, such that we have 6 multiplied by 1 over the square root of 64, of course, is 8, then multiplied by 1, such that 6 times 1 times 1 is the same thing as 6 all over 8. Remember, 6 is same thing as 6 over 1, and 1 is same thing as 1 over 1, such that 6 times 1 is 6, multiplied by 1 is still 6. 6 over, we have 1 multiply 8 is 8, and 8 multiply 1 is 8. Then, if 2 divides 6, we are going to have 3, and if 2 divide 8, we are going to have 4. Hence, the answer is 3 over 4. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Israeli Maths Concept, and also to follow me on Facebook. Also, remember to share this video. Thank you and see you next time. Goodbye.